Thank you, sir.
In fact, I have got more than one reason why I have come to this meet. In fact, I am the neighbor of Mr. Sudarshan Najyamal, number one. Number two, Mr. Kamaraj is well known to me. Now, after having come over here, I find Mr. Kasi, who was working with me in those days, and he is in the team. Thirdly, I felt that this is one of the most important topics which everyone should have something to learn and go. I mean, I came with open mind. I listened to your presentation. I saw your power presentation also. And I really feel that you have done lot of exercise before coming to this level. And our friends are questioning about the technical aspect and other things. You are able to withstand with your facts and figures. From this, I am very sure that you have made a thorough, detailed study before you finalize the project.
Thank you, sir.
Number one. Number two, when you speak on various aspects, I feel that this is a panacea for so many ills and evils that we are facing in the country. If what all you are trying to list out 1, 2, 3, etc., if it is going to fructify, certainly our country will be of different aspect altogether. I mean, I like to have 2 or 3 observations by way of my query or whatever it is. Number one, you have said that you are a unique project. Your project is unique in several aspects, namely, we have got this. I mean, from the economic point of view, the social point of view, I mean, we are able to get over all inequality and the imbalance and flood control and irrigation, etc., etc. So, I am inclined to ask whether there are any grey areas in your project. In other words, being engineer followed by your experts, I mean, you should have definitely made this exercise. I am very much concerned about SWOT analysis. Your strength is known, your weakness and your threat. I mean, opportunity will be there and your strength will be there. I am more concerned about what are all the threats to you, what are all the weaknesses to you. Can you list out such of those things, whether it is political, social, economical, on varied aspects, whether you are able to list out such of those weaknesses and the threats, number one. Number two, whether you have got a solution for such of those things. As far as I am concerned, I could see, I mean, you wanted all our support in the parliament, etc. To be honest with you, we will be all out for you to speak for that, because we feel that what is the problem we are facing now, whether it is Kaveri or Mullai Periyar, whatever way, I am particularly in the light of, in the wake of all the authorities, all the tribunals, all the boards which are on paper. I am sorry to say that they are more on act on paper, but it couldn't be implemented. The Kaveri River Authority was able to say the tribunal has passed orders, but with all the direction, etc., you are not implementing. What I am trying to say is, in view of the varied dimensions, in view of the parochialism, in view of the narrow-mindedness, I am sorry to use the word, with the result, what happens is, I mean, you have given a verdict, but the verdict could not be implemented. Even if the Supreme Court says, no, nothing could be done. So, what are you going to do? In other words, what I am trying to highlight here is, instead of, I mean, you are making a macro level planning, etc., whether you can go, the saying of our Honorable His Excellency President Abdul Kalam, who has said that instead of going for a national level, why not you go for a state level? For example, linking with your Kaveri, linking with your Periyar, Pennar, I mean Tamrabarani or Palar, etc., which is much more easier than going. I mean, you are able to say can't do. I mean, not only that, I mean, two-way traffic. Not only getting, you are giving divert. I mean, this information we never knew. We can afford to, I mean, during the time of flood, we can divert from Kaveri to other places also. We didn't know. We were all along under the impression that we are only at the receiving end. We are capable of giving it also. This theory we didn't know. So whatever it is, I mean, it depends upon more of, I mean, many technical decisions, many economic decisions should not be given to the hands of politics. But unfortunately, your technical decision and your economic decision are being very well taken only by politics. The political implications may not permit. I am not discouraging whether you can take into account of such of those things. I mean, all your national policy, all your code, all your act, all your legal legislation, etc., etc. Nowadays, it becomes to be on paper only. It is not going to be of implementation. In such a situation, what you can do, at least you can take it into account of state as a unit. I mean, network. I mean, do it only. I mean, because state will be very much happy to do that. I mean, but then you try to link up. I mean, that is. I mean, your priority can be like. Thank you.
Exactly what you suggest, sir. We are working on the state level. And he said, what are the grey areas? What are the problems we face? First point we make it when we meet, our technical people meet, we make it, we ask them, you argue the project is wrong. What are the problems you argue? We ourselves divide and then ask, this is the problem, this is the problem. We have come across 3 problems so far, I can say. One, people say silt. Silt will be a problem. That is, it will get silted up. Even the dams are getting silted up. So silt is a problem, any hydraulic matter. So here people think it will be maybe more. So what they have done, they have given a solution. The desilting will be taken up throughout the year. There will be desilting, dredger will be operated throughout the year, and the cost is also be included in this project. If at all there is silt. And we think the normal silt will not be much because it will be allowed in the sea, on the river. They have made all arrangements for that. That is one thing. And then the breach. There may be a breach. So what are we going to do? We have analyzed all that. We have got all the proposals. A lot of, if we go to the details, it will take a lot of time. So we have taken care of that also. So there will not be any damage due to breach. If there is there will not be any breach first thing. Even if there is a breach, how it is being tackled or not without heavy loss. And the third is that we have been approaching the states, they are willing. We have been approaching the central government many times again and again. But somehow they are also having a NW proposal, a proposal, interlink rivers. But our proposal doesn't interfere with them. Still, they are reluctant to accept our proposal. Because they are working on their proposal. They spent nearly 20 years, they are working, and they find we are somehow, they are interfering with their job. It's not so, because we know the project, their project, and other project, KL others. Because to overcome, some project must come through. That's our intention. So we have come with this proposal, and the officials also, we have, to some extent, they are also reluctant, the NW people, to accept this proposal, though we have been going to them again. These are the problems.
One second, sir. I mean, after having seen the so many plus on this, why papers given due priority and the importance? I mean, why the government is reluctant? I appeal to the chairman, Human Rights Commission Committee, and the other. How the government cannot afford to be that much priority, which was already conceived or whatever it is. I mean, a due priority and importance should be given to this. Why it has not been? I mean, you
probably you have to raise the question to Parliament, sir.
Parliament. I mean, you parliamentarian. I will join with you. What are you going to do?
I will not go into the technical aspects of the whole project, but one thing which strikes me immediately is when you said it is going to be eco-friendly project, and which you showed in your slide also. But the people who oppose this project, they say this is going to be environmentally disaster. How you justify that? Number two, since most of the discussion was based on Deccan, but you have initially touched upon the linking from the Himalayan region also going upwards around 500 meters. But if you talk about Brahmaputra, because Brahmaputra is, if you talk about the flow of river, normally, that is the only excess water, river in the country. All other rivers are water deficient. But if you see the topographic of the whole region, where you can connect the Brahmaputra from Chicken Neck to the mainland, there is going to be a major challenge how you are going to link Brahmaputra in the project. And the final one, which is most important, is the downstream steps and benefits you have talked about. The irrigation, those flood control, irrigation, drinking water, power generation, employment, everything. What about the upstream steps? Because you see those kind of precipitation in last so many years, the river level is dwindling, receding, less rainfall, more rainfall in 1 month, but if you count throughout the year, it's less. You have to have water. If there's no water, there is no linking of rivers. What are you have a plan in your mind? Of course, you have not made this in the presentation. For those catchment areas where you continually receive the rainfall, the rivers, and all to conserve, particularly the Himalayan belt and some of the belt in Deccan, where you continue to get the normal rainfall, to conserve those catchment areas. Do you have any plan in mind?
You said environmentalist they may this environmentalist they may raise questions. They may say it's not, there are so many problems. But for any project, there will be some kind of displacement, some problem will be there. But you can only compare the projects, compare to other projects, what are the problems here. But some people say you need, for environment enhancement, you need water. Water is primary, you have to provide water. So that aspect has to be taken all. If you take all the aspects, the plus is far by high than the minus are. That's one thing I can say. That's what we are studying. And for conserving the catchment area and all, I don't know what you have got in mind, I don't really understand, but that has to be taken up. We don't say we don't take it up, it has to be taken up. But the flood water which goes to sea, as far as possible where we can make use of it, the best use of it. Suppose you go higher up, this contour canal, if you go higher up, what will happen? You get less water. If you go lower, you get less commandability. So we have to choose in between. We have done our best, that's all we can say. If you want, you can have another contour canal, the upper side or the lower side, whatever it is possible. So we have done. And the conservation of the areas, catchment and all, it is a very good subject. It has to be studied.
Part of the project is what I feel. It must be part of the project.
I see. Okay, sir. They will make a note of it and then study that aspect also.
And then link it from Brahmaputra.
Yes, sir. That is one very good question, sir. Normally, if you want to link the Brahmaputra river, it's very difficult. So, massive river, very big one, it's not possible to tackle at all. So, what we have done, our proposal goes much higher. There are about nearly 15 to 20 tributaries our waterway connects. So instead of tackling the main river, we tackle only the tributaries. That is much more easier. And divert the tribute one water from one river to one tributary to other tributary. And send it away. Or divert the water takes more time so that the flood damage is minimized. So that we have done. The flood control, there is a complete in one article on this. One of our friends has written how much.
The intake of water will be less when you go with the tributary. The main Brahmaputra is flowing with like anything, but the flow will be very much less.
We have taken that into account, sir. We get about 80% of the total flow at that level. So that's not and still we don't need that much water again. So we get a lot of water.
I have one small question
Yes, sir.
regarding that rainwater, say Bhutan,
Okay.
talking about Himalayan area,
Yeah.
Bhutan, that affects very badly
Take a smaller scale.
some areas of Assam, particularly foothills of Bhutan. And sometimes they have big dams, flows, sometimes overflows, and heavy flood damages are caused because of that. And those water definitely, instead of going to the sea, it directly affects the actually paddy lands, etc. in the valley. So, do you have any idea regarding that also? Bhutan water, excess water, how can it be brought under control?
And the Bhutan water will come to our country, India.
Assam.
Assam mainly. When it enters Assam, the waterway comes only in Assam. So the water will be taken care by the waterway. It's something like a reservoir. This is a big reservoir, so to say. So water will be taken into that, diverted or sent down the river, and controlled water will be sent. So you will be able to control the flood.
Your project is also
No, we don't go to Bhutan. It comes below, but we go to Nepal. But again, our project can be implemented within our country. Then once the Nepal accepts, we can take up there also. Otherwise, we can complete within our country.
Sometimes the water comes out of Bhutan.
Yeah,
It becomes Indian water.
yeah, that's right.
That's what I'm telling you.
problem.
No, but if you,
if-
government is ready to hear the experts, they are ready to come with projects, how we can utilize the Bhutan water and
Yeah,
also the
for
Nepal.
benefit of the Assam itself.
No, one thing, if you don't study the Bhutan water problem in Assam, if you don't study the Tibet water problem which comes to Brahmaputra, then this will be incomplete. Because he has raised a very important question that Bhutan waters, rain waters and surplus water from them and other things, it comes to Lower Assam. And yet it creates a lot of problem in vast areas. And it creates flood and all that. So if you make a national water project, you have to study that also, because as soon as it enters India, it has become India's water.
Yeah.
It may come from
You can
Bhutan.
discuss with Assam
It
government.
is border, na? It is border. Bhutan
Yeah.
is bordering Assam.
Yeah.
No,
But
that's
of course,
why-
These
that's
are
why
the
what I'm
problem.
suggesting is-
And mostly, I have seen, I am observing since starting. I don't think that you have studied whole of Northeastern problem, Tibetan problem, which are connected to Indian water problem also. So you have to study that also. Unless you complete it, unless you have a complete, you see this time you have to go to this time. There are 28%. No, listen to me. There is 28% less of water in Assam and Northeastern region, for which there is no flood this time. Now there is a problem that China has. There has been discussed in the parliament also that China is taking up a project diverting the river water which comes to Brahmaputra. So if it is diverted, our minister has replied in the house that the Brahmaputra water, 70% is rainwater from Indian part. Now, if it is diverted in Tibetan range, then this 30% water, during summer, it will be a dry river now after diverting water in China. Brahmaputra will be drier. So these are big problems which are connecting this national project also. You have to look, I think.
Sir, one small thing. I am very thankful that you have insisted the studies to be made. That is why we have come to the parliament. The study for a state costs us more than 15 crores. That is for survey, aerial survey, and geological and other surveys. Our friend is there. He wants 240 crores for the whole 5-year plan. That is for their studies. We are yet to get the sanction or recognition first and sanction. Every state needs nearly 15 crores for the whole study. That is preliminary study itself. We have studied for Tamil Nadu and Andhra. We had gone to aerial survey being of Hyderabad. They wanted nearly 8 crores for aerial survey of that area. That is showing along the route what we have enlisted. On both sides we wanted 0.5 kilometer. That is to cover, as you said, how many structures are there, any major elements, as you said, any forestry is affected like that. For which they wanted 8 crores. We want only the parliament to pass or the state government to give us money for preliminary survey. Once that survey is there, we will be answering all your questions. Maximum. Then we have to do this detailed project survey, DPR. Then every question will be.
That's why
It is a concept.
when we started our discussion, I told that our honorable members, if you get the overall idea, then we can call these experts to come to Assam and discuss with the chief minister, and they can have some more ideas. Then you can decide whether we can go along with it or not. That is the initiation I made it at the very beginning itself. It's only awareness we are creating through their experiment in Tamil Nadu and Andhra, and general idea they have created it. That is supported by technicalities and all data. Therefore, if you are ready to call them, they are ready to come there and you discuss, you collect all our Assam MPs and sit with the Chief Minister, and he will give the first ideas, and then we can start with it. preliminary studies we can start.
Right.
With minimum amount.
We will also discuss in our Northeast MP forum.
That will be. For that
We'll
also
be
they are
happy
ready
to.
to come.
There is one of the major problems.
You
Considering
are very
Assam.
much correct. When we are taking that water, as Ramji has told, only 70% is only coming from rainwater in Brahmaputra. That it goes to Tibet and other place. And the other day he told like that. Therefore we can study everything. Now the thing we are making is to create awareness among our MPs, and you have to sit in your own state and study it. That is the thing we are now doing.
considering the size of the project and the benefits that will accrue, this 240 crores is small money.
Yes.
And out of that, what is the share of Assam, what
240
is the
crores
share
is
of
not a very
Bengal?
big money.
That we can make them. If you say
7,700
if you
crores.
say that northeast area you need some data to be collected. To their level they will collect it and give it to you, and they will address your northeast MPs also. And we in that level
No,
we can
have a
ask.
discussion with the Northeast MPs.
Yes, they will find out time.
Otherwise, it will be incomplete.
Plan. The main thrust in the Tamil Nadu government now is about agriculture. Most of the concentration in the 11th draft plan they have circulated yesterday. The main thrust is improving the agriculture sector. Therefore, I think the state government, if it is feasible, it is better to expedite the process as far as our state is concerned.
Vice Chairman is very much convinced and he has said he will take
All the best. I wanted to speak.
Mr. Gupta, our senior engineer, he wants to say a few words.
Very good evening, all the honorable members. Your just kind attention for only half a minute. Thank you. Nearly 4 years before, Professor Kamraj met me in the Institution of Engineers. I was the secretary at that time, and he just told about his idea of having like a power grid, having a water grid. So I highly appreciated that time, and we thought that this can definitely come a true picture. May not be today, may not be tomorrow, but definitely when he said in 2020, by the time, with all your kind supports. But one thing very important outcome of today's meeting is that we require an immediate our meeting at the national level, where representatives from all the states, all chief engineers, all chief ministers are there, so that we can discuss in length their problems of the northeastern region. If I go to Himalayan, their problems from J&K, and we go to the down, their problems, so that we can come to a national consensus of all this meeting. Recently, I visited America in one of the states in Seattle, because I had in mind that how they are controlling this rainwater not to go into the onto the sea, because sea they have got a 70% of water which is not drinkable, not potable. Only we get about 29.3% of the total water which is potable, and the sources are only two. One is the rain, and another is the ground. Right? So I went to the Seattle and saw what is the engineering, how they have got two gates. One is on the, you might have seen, one is towards the seaside, other is on the city side. They don't allow river water, rainwater to go into the sea. And they consume it, they conserve it, they convert it into the drinking water. And whenever any sea passes this way or that way, there were two gates. So in between they keep the big sea or maybe a small boat type thing. They close the door, then they allow the other door to open, and then they go like that. So when we get all your kind support, technical experts, our Professor Kamraj is having. And one thing in the last I would like to say that in Sanskrit we say Prithviyam Trini Ratnani Jalam Annam Subhachitam. This diamond water should not go waste into this. Thank you very much.
Minister was not allowed to ask.
Sir Chairman Sudarshan Nathchepar, Mr. A.C. Kamraj, Madam Honorable Minister, daughter of M.T. Ramarao, Honorable Members of Parliament. Sir, this is a very interesting subject. As per the requirement of water in the state, everywhere it is a necessity. But the prevalence today is interstate water dispute. Interstate water dispute is a major public nuisance that has to be solved first of all before going to this national waterways project. I am not discouraging. So, for the purpose of forming a national waterways project, we have to make a legislation in the parliament that water source and rivers of India are nationalized. Like the nationalized banks, rivers of water should be nationalized before we go and think about the national water project. Because unless we legislate and make a convenient place for thinking over these projects, we cannot go ahead with these projects. That is nationalization of rivers of India, so that we can pay attention toward these water projects. Otherwise, you see, already the interstate problems are there and we cannot go ahead at all. This is one side of the coin, and the other side of the coin is you are very much interested in the fruits after the project is completed. After the project is completed, we can navigate, we can produce energy, we can make lot of food grains and greens all over the country. That is one side. But how to come out with the project? Lot of energy is required near the mountains to make hole into the mountain and bring the water from the other side to this side. According to your idea, water has to go along the mountains to reach an area where the level will be alright, and then to bring it down. That will be a very great distance. You cut short through the mountain and make a hole and then bring the water into the other area. Lot of villages has to be disturbed. Hundreds of people have to be migrated from place to different places. Many areas of forest has to be disturbed. No one can enter into the forest without the permission of central government. I have seen the borders of India where roads are required for the border security force. They are fighting to make a road for years together for making 3 kilometers of roads. How are you going to make this project success with these very meager legislative facilities? So first of all, my request is legislation should be our aim, and that should be the foundation for the national waterways project. Unless and without that, thinking this method will be a futile. These are all possible only theoretically. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Before answering the question, our senior engineer is here. Sir, the Central Water Commission chairman. No,
Let the minister.
okay.
This is just
Combine both subjects and reply.
I may be very naive in asking you this question, but when you take the environmentalists into consideration, what they have been saying about the global warming and the climatic changes that we are going to foresee in the future, especially if you take Andhra into consideration, we did not have rains for 4 years. And we were very dependent on Karnataka and Maharashtra for water. It had to come from Maharashtra to Karnataka. You are very well aware, I don't have to tell you. And even Karnataka did not have rains, and we really had a real shortage of water. Then when you're talking about utilizing 30% of water that is actually going into the sea, have you taken the climatic changes into consideration? Are you assured that 70% of the water would go into the sea and 30% would be, out of that would be utilized by you? How guaranteed are you when you take all the climatic changes into consideration? Because we see the environmentalists say by 2040 you will not even have fish. You know, these are the changes that we are going to see in the future. So have you taken all these contours into consideration before you think of linking the waterways? Because we are so interdependent on one another. This is the question I wanted to ask.
Thank you, madam. That's a good question you asked. and variation of the climatic condition. Due to that, normally if there is a 10 to 20% variation, we say the rain shortage of rainfall, we say is a rainfall shortage, drought condition. If it is 20% excess water, we say flood, a lot of water and all. So if you take any region, the variation is normally it is 10 to 20%. If you take a region, but if you take the whole country, the variation will not be there even that much. Even assuming there is going to be 20% variation. Well, as I explained, we get about 1,500 BCM water going to sea. Suppose 20% variation, one particular year. You get 300 gone, 1,200 BCM. Out of that, what we need only 430 BCM, even during that year. So we don't know, even 50% we don't factor, we got that. But suppose in one particular year, it's a very, very drought, we are not getting it, even the 430 BCM. But this, it may not be a big problem. That year particularly you can import, but you cannot import throughout the year, throughout all the years. So that can be, that is a solution matter. Before coming to answer, and our colleague and friend, a very senior person, very knowledgeable engineer is here, Central Water Commission Chairman, was still yesterday you were Chairman, he wants to say.
Thank you. This subject has been under consideration for quite some time, and I would tend to agree with our honourable member here when he asked if that is so possible and feasible, why there is no interest shown in the country. Number one. See, one thing, I have been with the water sector for the last 10 years, intensely connected with all the states and all the issues. And whatever has been asked here, I can take hours together for each of those. What is the present situation in the country and how it has become an uphill task even to move an inch. Why Mahadevi, which is only a 7.5 TMC diversion out of a 200 TMC, why that should be in Supreme Court? I would like to ask so many questions now that I am out of the government. I am a free citizen and I can talk. So, see, what happens is the rigid stance, and as long as we recognize the state as sovereign, we are unable to move any inch forward. Even a 10-meter structure, Babli Barrage, I know that area which is very dry, and during the lean season, water is required, hardly a 10-meter structure. That again is in Supreme Court. And we have taken up Ken-Betwa link. For survey, we are not able to enter the forest because the permission has not come. But Mr. Kamraj has given an idealistic 1 year for pre-feasibility, 2 years for DPR and 7 years implementation, which I feel even in a small project is not possible. Why do we have even a pre-fifth plan projects not completed today? And in spite of pumping in funds through AIBP, we are not able to get them completed. And how we are going to overcome land acquisition? Because most of the projects, canals are halfway and they are not able to complete a small channel. And I know of many projects we are monitoring. So these are all practical problems. I'm not discouraging this, but I'm bringing out the practical difficulties that you are likely to face. And then, see the hydrology, the hydraulics. In fact, when I talk about Mahadev, the state said we do not agree with the data of the Central Water Commission. Then where do you go for your data flow? If that is the stand taken by a state for the basic data of flow, then for this kind of a study, where do you take it? And even if you have a data and if the state says we don't agree with it, then where do you end up? So this is the kind of real problems. And in fact, the National Perspective Plan has been done by this National Water Development Agency. But every meeting Kerala makes it a point to come and sit there to say Pamba Achan Goil should not even be talked about. So you see, we are living in a country where the states have the sovereignty and we have to treat all of them and we have to take them together. And I have been holding meeting after meeting to bring about some kind of a consensus, even in small issues. But it has taken so much of a time, even in that respect. And then when we come to the structural issue that I explained in Madurai also, even a road, when you cut it through the hills, you know how much of hold up is there during the rains. Even a 15-meter wide road or a 20-meter, and here we are talking about 500 meters wide. So that needs a careful study as to how we are going to deal with as a contour canal, when particularly this western coast is very, very steep and it is fully forest, and we have not been able to do even that Hetwane project because the court has not allowed because of the forest. So these are all practical situations that are there that we have to find ways to overcome. Idealistically, yes, it is, if everything works well, this is possible. But then how do we go about these problems that we have? The environmental, it's again, even the smallest thing is holding up all the projects. Now probably the country is coming to a stage where they think that no more storage project can be done. But I tell you, without storage you have no life ahead. I am fully convinced. And the interbasin water transfer has to come. Without that the country cannot survive. So to some extent, even Polavaram, we were talking about the linking of Godavari and Krishna. And the typical example is before us, Polavaram. You know what is happening with Polavaram from within the state itself. I am facing music from two ministers, one on the other side and the other, the opposition to the project. So being a government servant, I had to do a tightrope walking. So these are the issues before us. We have to find ways, and probably as parliamentarians, you should be able to find out how best we can go about. Lower Subansiri. The Supreme Court said you cannot touch the upper two in Himalayas. So it is dropped. But your link is going through all those areas. How we are going to take this entire length when it is passing through all these reserve forests or sanctuaries, because many of them are crossed. So NWDA has been facing this problem. That is how this government has said we will concentrate first in the peninsula. So that is how the present situation in water sector is. Perhaps I can go for hours together what I have faced, but then it is not that we have to lose hope. We have to find ways, because water is life. So we have to make it available. And this national water policy, it says water is a basic natural resource. Yes, everybody agrees. It's a basic human need. Next addition, yes, everyone agrees to it. But the third one, when it comes, it's a basic national asset. Where do we stand? Then the groundwater, what are the rights? The man who owns the land, if he has the right for that water. So there are various things that we have to look into. But then there's no harm in having a study done. Even with small links, we have these problems. But this will be manifold in this type of mega study. So that's how it is now. So let's see how best we can find the answers to these intricate issues, because that will not allow us to move forward. Even a survey cannot be done, data cannot be taken. Hydrology project for the entire southern peninsula was done. The observation system was upgraded, but this data is not coming to the master data center of Central Water Commission, because each state says we'll have the data, if anybody wants you come to us. So unless that kind of open sharing is there. So no, what I am saying is the Parliament has to find a solution, because it's a national issue. I fully stand by interlinking of rivers and interbasin water transfer, which is a necessity considering the temporal and spatial variation of water availability. And then what you mentioned, madam, this climate change. That's one of the issues that we have to be concerned about right now, because the flooded areas are becoming dry now, and Rajasthan faced such a heavy floods. So what is the cause for it? And climatic change, how it is going to affect. Of course, some studies have been initiated, but we have to work on that. So anyway, this study, Mr. Kamraj has put in so much of effort, I really appreciate, and his constant endeavor to meet people and explain. But what I have said is not against the project, but the real issues that are before us, which we should be able to handle or tackle and find solutions to. Thank you. If any of you want to deal any other issue, you can always have a personal discussion with me. Thank you.
1 minute, sir. He is
interested. 1 minute. Mr. Jayasilan. Mr. Jayasilan has joined in our group only from yesterday. Because till then he was working in the government. But my boss, our Sir Malaisami, Dr. Malaisami, IACC, we had in East Madurai station, you know, sir, there are about 4,000 houses. No road, no electricity, no house. But all of them constructed in Tank Brahmo. They have been living for more than 20 years without these. But Commissioner had a courage to open out certain roads, open out and demolish certain streets, certain buildings, even Masi building. I was instrument to that. He was the brain behind it. But that area has become very likable and livable area now. If you are afraid of so many things, ecology, and then as you said, the global warming and so many things, only river which goes into sea is the Brahmaputra. That is enough to save our sea. We are not diverting this Brahmaputra water. We can't do it. But anyway, when the national our policy of the government says the country should be brought within the category of utilizable resources to the maximum possible extent. There must be inter-basin transfers, artificial recharge, and rainwater harvesting need to be practiced. Effort should be to conserve the water in the catchments, and then water should be made available to water-short areas by transfer. This is to be a mere document. We have to do something. Ecology will be affected, as you said. We want to take only 10% of land that is from public, and that too within the state. As our friend said, if we want to nationalize the project, if we nationalize this, we will back off and then we'll go to Madurai. Because nobody can think of this project. But if you nationalize these whole rivers, why should we talk about this? The interlinking is automatically possible. Now we have been talking in the major area, mega project. Then we came to this state. Then each state, if they think and sit, they can do it within our state itself. There won't be any problem. There may be district to district, there may be problem. You have to sit and finalize. But once the powerful government is there, it's possible. But when we want water, we have to do something. We have to focus on certain things. We have to compromise certain things. But ecology is to be maintained. Then we have to go for a detailed study of environmental impact and environment. That's why we have opened a subject, that is our branch, research. Research on what? The environmental impact, economical impact, social impact, and so many, the political impact. But as our friend said, there is every problem, but we have to solve it. But Sir was there is one place, Thidir Nagar. We cannot enter to the area because every fellow was having an arval with them. We entered boldly, we did so many improvements because we convinced them before we entered. We have to do something on that. But anyway, madam, you are all here, you are very young. You know you are talking about ecology. It's very good. You give a suggestion how we should do the project without affecting a major part of ecology, major part of environment. You could do it.
I wasn't talking about ecology. I was saying that if you take the changing environment into consideration.
There are changes, as our friend said. There is a large variation one part or another. There are small, the variation is not so much within one region. But all these things will come into light when we go for detailed study, detailed project study, only for which we are waiting. But as you said, all of you participated very good. We are very thankful, and our sir, my boss, was he gave a lot of positive comments on us, and everybody was appreciative of our project. Our friend is along with us, even though he is in a government top post. One aspect, he has been guiding us in many times. He is going to be with us. And anyway, I thank you on our behalf. Mr. Kamraj also thank you.
Thank you all, members, for the patient hearing.
Before you could hear, we could see both sides of the experts. I mean, what I could see is there are two stages. One is conception, after conceiving, then delivery. Now you give the input. Now a decision making process will come by the politicians. You give technical feasibility and economic viability. The administration will, the political executives will decide how to go. And the decision will come later.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
I just wanted to ask you about Andhra. You said that we had done a survey.
This is the order from this is very much convinced. We are getting the is very much convinced. We spoke to the chief minister also. He said he is convinced. He said we are arranging meeting with the CM. So if you can also pursue
Yes,
that.
definitely. That's why I
That
asked you.
brings a lot of benefit on you. I will
What is
give
the
you a copy.
economics that we are looking at? Copy of this inside. Nachi Appunji, I'll take it. No problem, yeah.
Those states, the Andhra alone,
Yeah.
for the power generation and the organization, cost also is there, and the return also is there, the cost of the project is there, and the return also is there. So it can be done on the returns type of thing. So BOT space. I'll give you a copy.
I have got all appreciation. The way you answer in Rajya Sabha, I was listening. Excellent.
Thank you.
Keep it up.
Sir, FAQ. We will give you all questions.
I think that's very important.
It covers all
First
questions.
It covers him also.
Yeah.
No.
So I'll
What all you
expect
said is
that,
absolutely. At the same time, how do you know? How do you know? No. I in fact,